guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace, and today what we're actually doing is talking about paycheck to paycheck budgeting. So this video is going to be more for those of you who are just starting to budget and want to try out different methods as far as how you can budget. There are various ways of doing this. This is obviously not the right way or the only way to do it, but it's certainly a way that has worked for me, and I wanted to share it with you. So this paycheck to paycheck budget is basically focusing on you using each paycheck to pay your bills. So I guess the whole idea of using a paycheck to paycheck method is being able to stay ahead and stay on track with your bills. There are a few ways of doing this. The way that I'm going to show you is the list method because it's the way that works in my head the best. I have tried the way where you can use your monthly view, and I'll show you that right now. So you can put all of your bills in your month, lay it all out, and color code everything as far as what paycheck is going to pay what bill. I have tried that on my monthly spread, and to me it's just too much. It's a lot to deal with in just one monthly view, so I actually have to see it in a list. And so that is what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so the first thing that you will want to do when trying this method is you'll want to make sure that you know when all your bills are due. You can obviously reference to your monthly layout or to your calendar if that's also something you use on the side. I always do. I like to see when that bill is due. I've already written down when my bills are due for the month, from the first bill to the last bill. Another thing you'll want to do is know when you get paid during the month. For example, and I'll show you here, paycheck number 1. I am actually going to go ahead and use March as an example. I get paid March 6th. You'll want to know what the least amount that you'll be paid will be. In my case, it's $1,200. All right, so you'll want to know when you get paid and at least that least amount that you will be paid for that paycheck. And you'll do the same for all your paychecks throughout the month. So I get paid again on March 20th, and then the least amount would still remain the same at $1,200. And you'll do the same thing if you get paid weekly, if you get paid twice a month. You'll go ahead and use that same concept. You can include your husband's paycheck or your significant other's paychecks as well if you guys are working with finances together. You can include that as, you can label it as hubby's paycheck, etc. For just this example that I'm showing you, I'm gonna do paycheck number 3 as my husband's paycheck, and that's just as an example. Alright, so then you'll want to write down all of your bills like I mentioned. Rent is always due on the first of the month, and I like to write how much we have to pay for that bill as well. So you'll want to put your bill, when it's due, and the amount that's due. If you also want to write down how much you would like to pay for the month, you can certainly do so. Alright, so now that I have all of my bills set up and know what the amount is and when they're due, I actually did take some highlighters here, and I actually forgot to put another paycheck, so I'm gonna go ahead and put paycheck number 4. So In my case, my husband gets paid weekly and I get paid bi-weekly. So it's usually tough when you're combining finances, because then you need to know who gets paid, and then you need to take that into consideration. So to make it easy, always break it down by paycheck. And so that's why I like to do it in a list form as well. This is just the way that it makes sense to me. I have my highlighters ready because now I'm gonna go ahead and color code what paycheck is gonna pay for what bill. And so I like doing this ahead of time, before I even begin planning on my monthly spread, because then this really helps lay everything out and have a plan for the whole month. It serves as a guide for the whole month, and then it also helps me stay on track as far as, okay, have I actually paid this? What did I pay with what paycheck? So it really helps doing this before I even do my monthly spread. So I'm gonna say that paycheck number 1 is gonna be this beautiful purple color. Paycheck number 2 is gonna be this really pretty minty type of color. Paycheck number 3, since it's very similar to that one, let's just switch it out here. Paycheck number 3 is gonna be this color. And then paycheck number 4 is gonna go ahead and be this very beautiful blue. All right, so I have all of my markers here. And then another thing that I like to do is take into consideration my variable spending. So that can be anything from cash envelopes, sinking funds, savings, whatever may look a little bit different that you're not including in your bill section. So that can be anything, like I said. And I'll go ahead and put here, because usually the way that I like to do it, I probably should have taken this sticker out of here. So paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, paycheck number 3. The way that you can also do it is you can go ahead and say, okay, well, paycheck number 1 is this really pretty purple color. So this is how you can also highlight everything. Paycheck number 2 is that color. And then paycheck number 3 will be this color. So then you're also labeling your variable expenses down here. All right, so then this is how you would also take care of your variable expenses. What you can do is put your total for each paycheck for what you're doing for each one of these. So again, it can definitely include other things besides this. This is just as an example to kind of show you how I also like to plan it. So let's go ahead and start highlighting what will pay what. So paycheck number 4, we're gonna say that it's going to be, just for this purpose, it would be paycheck number 1 obviously, but paycheck number 4 is gonna be my husband. So he's gonna pay rent and he's gonna pay his car loan. With my first paycheck, what I'm gonna go ahead and pay is most likely the first bills. So usually what I like to say is whatever is due first is what I like to do. So student loan and credit card. And every now and then, you guys, I actually, with my first paycheck, I like paying my car loan. So that's another thing that I like to do. So that's not always going to wait until the last paycheck, that's for sure. All right, so paycheck number 2 is going to go ahead and pay for this bill, and this bill, and this bill. And then paycheck number 3 is gonna go ahead and pay the rest of the bills here. And this is just using real numbers here, you guys. So I'm actually using what I pay each month for some of these bills. If you don't know how much your bills are for the month, I would say a good way to track it is going back into your banking account to make sure what you paid last month. If it's more of a variable expense as far as your bills never staying the same, I would suggest looking at your bank account to see how much you spent last month and then budget from that. So for example, I never know what I'm gonna get as a bill for electricity. I never know what I'm going to pay for electricity, but what I like to do is look at the past month and then budget from that. So for example, if I paid $50 last month, then that's what I'll budget for next month. And sometimes I'll even include a little bit more in there. So that's just as an example if you're not too sure what your bill is going to look like. As far as your variable expenses here, what I usually like to do is I like coming back here and then putting the actual amount that I'm going to do for each paycheck once I know how much I'm going to get paid. But since we're also planning from the least amount possible, then we like to take into consideration the amount that we have left over after bills and after savings, of course. So then that amount gets taken, whatever is left over, and that's how you plan out your variable expenses as far as how much are you going to do with what paycheck. So, and this is all just as an example. So I am using my real numbers, but I don't actually know yet if this is the plan that I'll have for the month of March coming up. So usually this is the way that it looks to me. Again, it may always change when I actually sit down and really think about what I'm going to pay. But for the sake of this video, this is how I want to show it to you. So for example, I'll go ahead and say that I'll do $300 for my cash envelopes and then $150 for sinking funds. That's usually how much it is each paycheck. And then let's say paycheck number 2, I'll do $295 for my cash envelopes and then $160 for sinking funds. And then paycheck number 3, let's just say I do $200 for cash envelopes and then another $160 for sinking funds. And then savings is always going to look a little bit different for all of us. So let's just say that it's $110 for each paycheck. And so that's how I'm gonna break down each paycheck. So I have it color coded, right? So I know that paycheck number 3 is gonna take care of all of this. I know that paycheck number 2 is gonna take care of all of this. And paycheck number 3 is gonna take care of all of this. So now I can go back and say, okay, so this is how much I'm expecting for my first paycheck. I'm gonna subtract the bills that I'm gonna pay with this paycheck, paycheck number 1, and then whatever I have left over is what I'm gonna use for my cash envelopes, sinking funds, etc. So this is the way that it works in my head, you guys, because if I were to put all of this information the way that I have my monthly spread set up, it doesn't work in my head. I like seeing my monthly spread just very simple, functional, not a lot on here. I feel like with bills already being on the spread, it's kind of hard to go ahead and color code everything. Not saying that it's not going to work for you, but I'm saying that this method has worked for me, so I thought I would put it out there and just kind of show you guys how I like to plan ahead as well for all of my bills. For some of you, it might actually work if you put it on the monthly spread and seeing it all together just in 1 month. It may help you break it down as well. The Budget Mom has a lot of videos regarding that, so definitely go watch her if you haven't done so. This is just more of like a list method in the case that you like to see it outlined this way. So it really does help me as far as separating everything, seeing the color, seeing the paycheck. It just helps. It really does. This is just something that I thought I would share with you in case you guys want to try the list method as far as paycheck to paycheck budgeting, instead of using an actual calendar to color code everything in that calendar. So hopefully this helps one of you out there. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. I can certainly answer any questions that you have. And if you guys have any other suggestions as far as how you guys do your budget, is it more of a list method? Do you do it all in the calendar? Do you color code it at all? How does it work in your head? Leave all those comments down below. That way everybody's sharing ideas, and then people can also see other ideas that might you know, as suggestions as far as what methods they can also use. So feel free to leave all that information down below. And until the next video, you guys, bye.